Hi folks, I'm Spencer, and on today's episode of Cult Mania we're doing another set of rapid reviews, this time with this big box that is literally just labelled Big Boxo Horror. I wonder what's inside. Okay, so I'm sure you all know the drill by now. I have 30 seconds to review each of the films within this box. I haven't looked in the box. I mean, like I said, this one's labelled Big Boxo Horror, so I'm guessing it's all horror films in here, and I think there's some pretty poor ones in here. So that should be fun. Okay, yeah, it's generally sort of crummy horror films. I think there might be... yeah, there's some boxes, some box setty type things. This will be interesting. Film number 1. The Erotic Rites of Frankenstein, a Jess Franco film in a very weird sort of book-shaped box thing that doesn't fit anywhere. Not very good. Not very good film, but thoroughly entertaining. Probably the most entertaining of the Jess Franco films I've seen. It has a Frankenstein monster that's painted silver. It has a bird lady in it. It's not very erotic at all. I think a version exists where everyone's just naked, but that isn't this version. It has some terrible skeletons in it as well. Video Nasties, the definitive guide. This is one of the best documentaries you can find about film ever. It's ace. It's got lots of really interesting people on it, talking about what the Video Nasties thing was, discussions of like all the laws around it, all the hysteria, all that sort of stuff. Also, if you've got one of these cool limited edition versions, it's got a bunch of, well, basically, it's a trailer for every film on either of the lists. With little intros by film journalists talking about why those films were banned, what makes them cool, why half of them are terrible. Brilliant. Similarly brilliant is the sequel, Video Nasties Draconian Days. This goes more into the sort of backlash that came after the Video Nasties, goes into stuff to do with like blasphemy laws, all the stuff around like Child's Play 3 and James Blood case. Goes also into tape trading, loads of stuff. Yeah, it basically just fills out all the points that didn't get covered in the first one. And there's even more of those introductions to a bunch of films because they found a third list of stuff that was just basically what got picked up. Equally as good as the last one, really. Right, these next ones, I'm doing them as a multi-thing because I can't really be asked to discuss them separately. Here are a bunch of DVDs of Grindhouse movie trailers. These are fantastic if you are just wanting something on in the background. The first one, that's probably the best one, but they're all entertaining enough. I like these sort of trailer compilation video things, just full of... they're basically like a shopping list of like, oh, I haven't seen that one, I'll put that on the list. That one looks terrible, I'll watch that next. It's that sort of thing. More recently, other people have started doing these. Trailer Trauma, they're really good as well. No, it's just a great way to discover new terrible films. In fact, I'd argue most of the films that are left in this box, actually, were on one of these. Cat in the Brain. Lucio Fulci stars as Lucio Fulci. It's a film about him being stalked by a serial killer because he made films. It's pretty good. It's a nice little concept. Actually, it's not a great film. He reuses a bunch of footage from his old films, but I like it as a concept. He doesn't do his own voice. I'm pretty sure he's dubbed in every version. But it's a neat concept. Horror director is stalked by rabid fan. But it's an actual horror director instead. That's worth your time if you're a Fulci fan. I can't get it out. It's stuck. Blacula double bill of Blacula and Blacula Scream. They're both brilliant, aren't they? Blacula, one of the best blaxploitation films, especially the horror ones. Way better than something like Frankenstein. Very entertaining. Love that when he turns into a vampire, he gets hairier. Second one is brilliant. It's got Pam Grier in it, and there's nothing that isn't improved by having Pam Grier in it. But no, they're still fun. They're still entertaining. Soundtrack's really good for both. Yeah, proper blaxploitation classics. Pieces. I haven't seen this in ages, but I remember this being quite a lot of fun. I saw this and the Prowler around the same time, and I much preferred this. It's got terrible blood in it. The blood is so red, but actually the start of this is very violent. This makes it look a lot more lurid than the film is. It's also a whodunit, and it's one of those ones where it's very clear who you're supposed to think did it, and then it definitely isn't them. In one of those ways that it kind of feels a bit cheap. But no, there's a decent amount of not great gore in it. Yeah, fun time from memory. Another one where I'm not wasting time doing them individually. The Leprechaun box set. We watched this on holiday one time. We watched a film a night. Yeah, Leprechaun, Warwick Davis running around rhyming whilst murdering people. They're all pretty fun. I think the third one is my favourite one, the one that's set in Vegas. That's a really good one. I think the fourth one's not great because they forgot to have him rhyme in it. This doesn't have all of the films in it. This gets as far as Leprechaun in the Hood. It doesn't have Back to the Hood, and it doesn't have obviously the ones that came after that. But no, I mean, they're fun, aren't they? Everyone loves a bit of Leprechaun. I was very disappointed when I saw the Leprechaun films, actually, that there isn't a moment in them, like in Wayne's World, where Wayne does the "I'm the Leprechaun." I'm sad that never happens. That might be Wayne's World 2. But yeah, that happens. It doesn't. It happens in Wayne's World, doesn't happen in these. Night of the Bloody Apes. I bloody love this film. Note that it's called Night of the Bloody Apes. There is only one ape. It's a half man, half ape. A bloke has a heart transplant from an ape that turns him into sort of a menacing ape man. It goes from being very hairy to suddenly not very hairy but with a hairy face when he becomes an ape. That's a weird part. Also has a weird subplot to do with a female wrestler for no apparent reason. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. It has some real surgery footage in it as well, which is pretty grotty and horrible. Watch it. Brain Dead. I haven't seen this in far too long. Someone really needs to do a nice version of this. This is the Peter Jackson Brain Dead. There's another film with that name, I'm pretty sure. No, this is, I mean, it's great. Was the goriest film of all time at that point. Probably still up there. As the Kung Fu priest in it. I mean, it's got so many great moments. Really good fun. I kind of wish Peter Jackson made films like this still. Yeah, rather than The Hobbit. It's way better. House on the Edge of the Park, or House on the Park of the Edge, or whatever it's called in the trailer. It's the Last House on the Left rip-off, starring David Hess from Last House on the Left, directed by Ruggiero Deodato, that did Cannibal Holocaust. It's a better film than Last House on the Left. This is really good. It's quite unpleasant, as you would expect from a film of this style. But no, I think it's because it's genuinely unsettling. It has a really good sort of disco score by Rites, and yeah, it's the better house in a location revenge film. Zombie Lake, one of the worst zombie movies of all time, and I kind of want to watch it again. It's the one with the bright green Nazi zombies in it, in which the Nazi zombies are the sort of sympathetic characters and the villagers are the horrible ones, which is some weird politics. It's awful. It's so awful that Jess Franco actually turned down doing this film. That should really tell you how utterly, utterly atrocious this film is. But it's entertaining. It's got some boobs in it. It's got some really awful gore in it. Yeah, not one I'd recommend for most people. I've gone super thirsty. Bad Taste, Peter Jackson's first one. This definitely needs a re-release because this is like some random German copy or something where it's really hard to turn the subtitles off. It's so much fun though. I think they shot this over like 4 years or something stupid like that because they just work weekends. But it's so inventive. There's some great gore in it. It's really silly. It has the best poster ever. That's going to be really out of focus, but it's a great poster. Look up the poster. And I just love the alien designs. They're just fantastic. Yeah, proper DIY filmmaking. Sex and Fury, don't remember a fat lot about this. I think there's a whole sort of series of these films. Jonathan Ross loves it, apparently. It's his quote at the top. Sort of, you know, sort of slightly pink film, I don't remember actually that much knobbing happening in it, particularly. I'm sure her boobs fall out during the final fight scene as she runs around hacking people up. It's a bit sort of slightly sexier Lady Snowblood, but nowhere near as good, really. The Prowler, yeah, like I said, I watched this around the same time as Pieces. I probably would like this a lot more now. I remember the gore being really good in it, but I also remember it not being as fun. I remember it being quite slow and there being quite a lot of just talking, you know, and not in the sort of terribly dubbed or horrendously funny bad acting way, just a lot of people standing around waiting to be killed by the Prowler. But I'm pretty sure the effects are good in this, so it's probably worth it for that. New York Ripper, the only film I can think of where the serial killer sounds like Donald Duck. I mean, again, most controversial horror film ever, probably not anymore. I can sort of this is one where I could sort of understand why people got up in arms about it. I mean, there's far worse stuff these days. No, I remember this being entertaining enough. I just mainly remember that the killer sounds like Donald Duck. Overwrote every other memory I have of this, really. Soulbox Murders, I actually have this on VHS because it was a video nasty. I mean, it's not a great film. It's got like 3 deaths in it or something. This is another one where I'm pretty sure it's like, it's so obvious that it's one character who's the killer and then they sort of fudge it around that it's not. Yeah, this is the sort of key central bit. The lady, I think she was in like porn at the time, who gets chased around in her in nothing. Yeah, it's not great. Toby Hooper did a remake of it, which is somehow worse. Poultrygeist, the Troma Chicken Dead musical thing. I remember this being very entertaining. It's probably in utterly bad taste. But I remember it having quite a lot of decent sort of gore effects. I mean, Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, is one of the greatest titles for a film ever. So, I mean, it's worth owning just for that. This is like a 3-disc, exclusive 3-disc edition. You don't need 3 discs of this film. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a musical. It's fun. It's just entertaining. Crass as well. Another Troma one with Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town. I haven't seen this. Apparently Billy Bob Thornton is in it. Bet he regrets being in it. This is one of those ones where you know it's going to be really disappointing because it has a cool title and like badass biker ladies in it, and you know that then they're just going to sit around and not do anything for most of the film. No, yeah. I don't have high hopes for this. That's probably why I haven't seen it. A Bruno Mattei double feature of Rats and Hell of the Living Dead, which is under like zombie creeping flesh. It's got a bunch of different titles. As it's titled here, Hell of the Living Dead, not great. Pretty piss poor zombie film. Reuses a bunch of music from Goblin. That's probably the most notable thing. It's very Dawn Dead ripoff. I actually remember Rats being alright. I'm pretty sure the rats aren't the only thing. It's like a post-apocalyptic thing. Some warrior, like Mad Max people end up in a hotel that's filled with rats, and then they die. That's fun. Father's Day, modern day Troma, and by actually some of the people that worked on The Void and Psycho Gorman and all that sort of stuff. Entertaining enough. Not going to win any awards. Quite a cool poster, actually, that's on the front. Again, check out the poster. But I mean, if you look at the 18 rating on it, it's got everything in it, which tells you what they were going for here. You know, it's proper like post-Grindhouse, post-Hobo with a Shotgun, that sort of thing. No, again, entertaining. I think I'm going to get in trouble for the cover on the next one, so it might be blurred. I don't know. I'll see how it comes out on the camera. Delamore Della Morte, or however you say it, with boobs on it. Not a very tasteful... Oh, it's a shameless cover, actually. For a fantastic film. Rupert Everett is a bloke who works in a cemetery, and the dead keep getting up. And the Grim Reaper, one of the greatest versions of the Grim Reaper, sort of is like, you need to sort that out. No, it's a really good zombie film. It's really, really strange. It's one of those ones where there's nothing quite like it. Definitely worth checking out. Don't let the sort of booby cover put you off. It's a really, really interesting film that has it's being massively undersolved by the large breasts on the cover. There's even boobs on the back. Leprechaun Origins, the WWE produced reboot of Leprechaun. Actually, I don't think this is terrible. This is like the one where they made the Leprechaun more like a weird goblin-y thing. It's more like just a slasher film. It's not supposed to be particularly funny. I remember this being okay. I sort of passed an evening. I don't really remember much about it though, other than, you know, it's not Warwick Davis running around. It's more like a sort of gremlin-y thing played by Hornswoggle from WWE. Black Sabbath, I mean, what is there to say about this, really? Absolute classic from Mario Bava. A film I appreciate more and more as I get older. I love the colours, you know, how it looks. I'd like a nicer version than this. This is back when Arrow was still sort of finding their feet with this sort of thing. But it's just so colourful, portmanteau. 3 fantastic stories. Boris Karloff doing the 3rd story and the in-betweeny stuff. The original cut of this, the Italian cut, is the better version because it has the really strange ending. But no, I mean, it's a classic for a reason. Mark of the Devil, you know, when everyone loved sort of witch hunter-y type films, when that was the hot thing. This and Witch Farm generally, you know, the pinnacle of that. And this is, you know, it's an entertaining enough film. It's got a decent amount of sort of gory sequences. You've got Uda Kier being in it, just doing what he does best of sort of looking around. It's got like there's some nice sort of mixing in actual sort of supernatural elements to it, and it's a proper, you know, due to the authority type film. It is quite grim though. And for our final film we have Massacre Mafia Style, one of the most disappointing films ever. If you've seen the trailer for this film, you'll know that the trailer is freaking brilliant. Film, a lot less so. It's quite boring. There's quite a lot of just sort of people standing around saying racist things, really. That's not very fun. The violence and the gore is quite a letdown. Yeah, it's just watch the trailer. You'll have a lot of fun. What is worth checking out is the sequel, pseudo-sequel, Gone with the Pope. I'm sure I'll talk about that at some point. That's a much more interesting film. Now I have to put everything back in the box. And there we go. That's everything from the big box. Oh, horror films. Let me know what you think of the films in this box. I know there are a lot of them. But yeah. Let me know down in the comments what you think of these films. Like and subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this. And I shall see you next time.